whole thing. So
Oh, darn. Yeah, I did that a couple times. The last one. That's how interested I was in it, right? Claremont.
I bet. And we're live.
Oh, dang,
Hey, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about the 1985 Akira Kurosawa film Ran. Now, when was the first time you guys had seen this movie, or was it just recently when we reviewed it?
Yesterday.
That was the first time you saw it?
Yeah. Ian, sorry.
Oh, this last week was the first time I had seen it, although they had presented it in film school as like clips, so we had seen part of it when we went over to Kurosawa.
Yeah, so Ian and I, we were in the same class, right?
Yeah.
Okay, no, or yeah?
I don't know.
Okay, who cares? Anyway, so we took the same class, and we did Rashomon. And at the time, I didn't like the movie. I'll probably like it now, you know, that I'm older, I know what I'm getting from Akira Kurosawa. But they showed clips of this movie, like one of the battle sequences. I was like, why the hell did we not watch this movie? like this looks so amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, like, so ever since then, I was like, I'm going to watch Ron sometime. I'm going to do it. And then I bought it on Blu-ray, you know, a couple months back. And then, you know, obviously we started doing this. I was like, let's watch this.
More of an excuse to watch it, huh?
Yep.
Well, I had seen it a long time ago, but I couldn't remember much from it.
Oh.
I was probably your age when I saw it. And then saw it again today, actually, in preparation for this. So let me adjust this real quick. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a great movie, but it is very melodramatic and over the top in the drama. Very melodramatic. But it is it's based on King Lear, so it's based on a Shakespearean tragedy, which makes sense.
I mean, it's definitely, it definitely has a theater feel, but I don't know, there's something about the over-dramatic stuff I enjoy. It feels a lot like, you know, something from the 50s or 40s, where everyone's like, really over the top, because, like, you know, obviously in theater you got to sell everything because it's super big, where film you don't have to, and they played it like that. Like, the camera's really far back on a lot of these shots. Like, there was not many close-ups, and I think it works, because if it was close-ups and, like, he's just like going crazy, I would have been like, this is a little too much. But because there were like a lot of wide shots and vast land, it worked.
Yeah, it was shot. There were even some scenes that looked like they had to, you know, zoom in as far as possible because the camera was so far back that it changed the resolution on the, you know, for the take, where you're like, wow, that camera is really far back.
Yeah.
Especially at the, you know, the ending battle scenes where you're seeing, like, the armies on the hill far off in the distance.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. Like, my favorite part is when they, you know, when the uncle, I guess the father-in-law for the youngest brother, shows up with his army, and they're all in white on the ridge, and he's talking to his second-hand man, his lieutenant or whatever, captain, general, and he's like, oh, my son-in-law's not going to be happy you know, that I'm here. He's like, but if we keep our distance, you know, I think it'll be fine. And then when the battle is like over and they're winning, you just see them like cheering up on the ridge.
Yeah.
Like they didn't even come down. They're just like, yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
Then he's like, okay,
like,
guys,
okay,
one more time. We'll do it again.
They're like, yeah.
But you don't see that depth of field in movies anymore, and part of that's because they know people watch movies on phones, and you can't get that depth of field on a phone. I found out one of my teachers was like, yeah, you cannot watch Lawrence of Arabia on film, on a camera or a phone. And I was like, oh, why is that? It's like, well, you can't even see the person walking in the sand because how far back the camera is. You're just like, where is he?
Yeah, and also long cuts. He likes to have long cuts. So when, you have a lot of movies where either the actor is very vain, or the director is heavily using the actor as a selling point for the film instead of the story. And so you see a lot of close-ups of the actor during moments when they don't need a close-up. And one of the scenes in Ron that I thought they would do that and they didn't were some of those long edits, especially when they were traveling, when you had the youngest son's little group coming over the river. And they're coming through it's all one shot of them coming through the river. You see the amount of people. You actually see them get to the deepest part of the river. It's like coming up to the horse's back, and then they climb out. If they had made that in Hollywood, they would have started coming into the river, then done a close-up of the main guy, then done a close-up of his guy next to him, and then done a close-up of someone else. And then by the time they're done with the close-ups, they're out of the river. They would just skip the whole part in the river. And I thought it was visually better to see that amount of horses and people like trying to get across this river and seeing that during its deepest moments. The water.
It's crazy how big this movie is. Yeah. Like at first I was like, all right, that scene I saw, the huge battle where the two brothers take out, the father. Where is this at? Because it's it's just like hunting and stuff going on. It's a much smaller. But when that scene occurs, it's just like, holy cow! There are so many people. There's so many people, and it's of course brilliantly color coordinated with even the beginning, because Toro is wearing the yellow, his men wear yellow, and Jiro wears red at the very beginning, which his men wear red. Saburo wears blue, and they wear blue. It's just brilliant, because if for instance, for me and or whoever is not watching this, who doesn't speak the language, it's very easy for me to go, okay, we got the blue guy, we got the red guy, we got the yellow guy. The blue guy is banished, and the red guy and the yellow guy are, supposedly like good guys.
Well, and also during the battles, you knew who was who. You would see the guys running with their flags, and so you knew which army was which, because they all looked very similar. Or their armor would be colored. They would have red armor or yellow armor. And then like Sabaro's father-in-law, he was the guy with the white, and then you had the other group; they were all in black. So it made it very easy to distinguish who was who and where was where, especially when the battles got really big, because they had some wide shots.
Oh my!
Where you would have 200 horses and like 1,000 men on the field, and if you didn't have those colors, you would have no idea who was fighting who.
It's something that needs to be appreciated, what they did with that, and something that I think more people need to do, because this movie's pretty ambitious. Because at first, I'm like, okay, this is pretty small scale. And like that last 45 minutes, it's like a lot of wide shots of vast land and vast amount of armies, and they have so many people on set during all of this. It's just amazing, and it's like well organized.
And it has to be, because it's all like deep focus too. Because like when Saburo's like handgunners are off in the woods, and they make a point of like, okay, wait. Nobody move. And then when Hiro's horsemen come in, you can see all of Saburo's guys in the woods, because it's all in focus when they're shooting at the horsemen.
Yeah.
And so like you can't mess that up when you're doing a take of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have that many people, it's got to be difficult to organize, because you're basically dancing with 1,000 people. Your group is going to be moving this way, this group's got to do this, and they all have to be at the same time, and
like that part where like all the men are like switching around, and like they're like switching to hide like what their strategy is. Like that is, oh, that was crazy. It's brilliant how simple some of this stuff is, because like if you look at it today, it's like, oh well, we can just CG this,
Right.
but it's like, no, this guy took like real armor, you know, a bunch of horses, thousands of people, and did this real, and it looks amazing. And he, figured out a way. You know, the color scheme looks a lot like the '60s. Because I was like, this movie does not look like it's in the 80s, which is not a bad thing. Like, this movie feels like it was made in, like, the 60s, because, you know, the 60s, that was when, like, color was obviously a big thing when it first started. And they just, like, really exploited color. Like, they had...
Yeah, Technicolor.
Yeah, it was really cool. And this movie did that, which wasn't really the case, I feel like, with a lot of 80s films.
No, but there's a reason why Rand won the award, the Academy Award for, I think it won it for color, or it won it for something that had to deal with cinematography, but not cinematography itself.
I thought it was costume design, but
that's it. That's it. Costume design.
That's a pretty.
Just how much detail that we've already talked about.
Well, like, and I think for a lot of people, you know, they think of Japanese samurai armor, and what comes to mind is pretty much the same thing for most people, I think, where you just have the very dark kind of rigid armor like you would see in most popular stuff, or the, you know, the hard paper layers or the bamboo. But to see all of the armor in these vibrant, different colors, that's very different than what we're used to.
Mm-hmm.
And each of the soldiers had like a different, like depending on what position they were in, they had a different set of armor that was unique to them.
Right.
I love, armor and the coloring is amazing when, like, that's all we've talked about so far about the movie. We haven't even gotten into, like, the plot or, you know, the characters. We're just like, oh my gosh, this movie is just beautifully shot and beautifully done. Like,
well, it was. I mean, some of the, you know, there were a lot of outdoor shots. You know, you could argue like 80% of the movie takes place outside.
Yeah, there's hardly any interior stuff.
Just some character things, like with you know, especially with the crazy woman that's jumping from husband to husband and trying to get revenge for her family. All of her stuff is inside, but
yeah,
for the most part, like even the small moments, like right in the beginning, we're opened up to a hunt. And then they're in a kind of walled tent on this gigantic grass field, surrounded by mountains. I mean, that's your opening shot, and it's like, whoa.
And you don't see like anything, like no signs that there's anything around them at all. It's just like blank.
It's like Akira Kurosawa just is like, all right, we're gonna go on a little trip, and he just like plopped these people in the middle of nowhere, and they just filmed for, you know, days, because that opening scene is like Act 1.
Mm-hmm.
They're in there forever. But like, to continue on with like the color and the look, the one thing. So in Rashomon, he created a technique to, you know, I think you remember this, Ian, that, you know, he figured a way to hold the camera up at the sun without it burning the film. And so, of course, Akira Kurosawa did that again, except for he used the clouds instead. And, like, the clouds kind of told the story a little bit throughout the entire thing, which was very interesting. It's something I'm not accustomed to seeing. And that's just so appreciative. It's like, there's just a lot of things I just haven't seen, in movies.
And he even does it like subtly too. Like they're obviously the sky shots, but if you watch the sky, just in like shots of the locations of like the castles and stuff, he like makes sure that you can see all of that. It's not like blown out at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all, and everything is in frame. I love the long edits. I'm a big fan of long edits, and so
same.
I feel you get invested in the character more when you have a longer edit. when you cut it up, you have too many times that the audience is trying to reacclimate of what's going on, and then they don't have that emotional connection with the people that they would if you had a longer edit.
I also feel like, I mean, I definitely agree, and I also feel like it gives the actor to really sink their teeth into a scene, you know, because the longer edits feel like theater. You know, it's, you know, the guy who's just going from like beginning to end. And I mean, there was parts where the main character, it like starts off kind of normal and then just is like crazy by the end, or like, you know, yells at someone, apologizes, and then like changes his tone, and that's like all in one shot. And you know, usually they do like several reaction shots, but there was like almost no reaction shots. The reactions were just in the frame, which I loved.
Well, not just for those two, but yeah, I agree. Like, there's a lot of movies that would have to do reaction shots, but when you have everybody in frame, you don't really need to, because you're seeing their reactions right there in the same edit. But also for scale, and like the ending shot where you have the blind wife that was escaping.
It wasn't a wife. It was the brother.
Brothers, yeah. The alone on the ridge, you know, and
yep,
on top of the castle, and then walking forward just a little bit. No cut up, no cuts, no editing to the face. You just see him slowly looking, you know, poking the ground and then finding the edge and then just standing there, and then a cut to a huge wide shot of him standing there, and then that's it. It's like, but that long cut of him inching towards the ledge, you know, it builds that drama of like, oh my gosh, is he gonna fall? You know, he almost trips. But I know a lot. I mean,
in this movie, he probably would.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And a lot of Hollywood movies, I think, would do that scene differently, where they would show them start to move forward and then cut to a close-up of their face doing this and then cut back to it. But it loses some of the drama of that if you cut it too much.
You know, and keeping on that character, you never see like the top half of his face. Like, you know, he brilliantly, like, you know, makes it to where like the hair doesn't allow you to see his eyes because he's blinded, and yeah, it's just a really unique way to show that someone's blind without, you know, having them be like, "See, I'm blind, I can't see."
Yeah. Now the story was, you know, it was influenced by the plot of King Lear, so there's a lot of that kind of mellow. Like the story has a lot of melodrama in it, but it fits it because of the whole Shakespeare tragedy kind of storyline. So you kind of have to be a little melodramatic with it, because that's how Shakespeare wrote his stuff, was to be melodramatic.
Yeah.
The king, or the main guy, he was the most over the top, but so entertaining. Like, you couldn't stop watching him. You were just wondering what the hell he was going to do next.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he is over the top, but like not in like over the top, this is ridiculous. Over the top is like, I don't know, like he just was, he, you know, he controlled the scene. Anytime he talked, it was like, okay, I better pay attention. And like anytime he yelled, everyone just shut up, and there was just no music. And it's just like, focus on him. And it was just really awesome. I do have to say, he did start looking like Theoden when Theoden was crazy, because I'm like, is Saruman controlling him?
He did go a bit nuts, and he is, you know,
oh my
his hair was all over the place.
His legs were so white. I was like, did Akira Kurosawa do something to this poor man?
Now,
I mean, he had a bad week.
Yeah, he did have a bad couple of years.
Oh my gosh, this movie, like, just kicks it up to a notch of like depressed mode. It starts off fine, and you think, okay, I don't know where this is going, but let's find out, because I know nothing of King Lear, and I've obviously never seen this movie. I only saw the one scene where the two brothers attack the father, and so in that scene, I thought he was going to die. I'm like, all right, he's going to get murdered, and it's like, no, he's still alive somehow. This guy's still alive, but instead the other brother Toro died. I like jumped out of my seat. I was like, what? What's happening?
Yeah, the first battle, because I also like the way music was used.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
In the first battle, the first major battle, there was no sound except the music.
Mm-hmm.
Until the first gunshot.
Yep.
So when there were no guns being used, it was all music, and you're just seeing everybody like storming in, fighting each other. Beautifully shot, wide shots, and then
it's the artsiest battle.
And then that one gunshot kind of jolts you out of it, and then you hear the battle going on. I thought that was beautifully set up, beautifully edited.
I mean, you've already mentioned that it was brilliant, but it was brilliant. Also, probably one of my favorite kills in this entire movie happens in that scene which by the way, Matt is pleased by bodies being destroyed in this movie. So we got that. There is a dude who's holding his arm. I was like, what is happening? Like, it just cuts to this guy who's literally like holding it like he's going to use it as a weapon. It's like,
no, he's traumatized from war. I mean, they had that kind of thing in a lot of war movies. Like, more famously, I guess, would be Saving Private Ryan.
Oh yeah.
You know, in the beginning, you have the guy like, "Where's my legs?" He's like looking around for his legs because his bottom half is gone. But when I saw that scene of the guy like holding his arm, and he's got this like dazed look of like, what just happened, my immediate thought was, oh, Matt's gonna like that. I was like, someone's limb got ripped off or cut off. Matt's gonna be happy.
I think I can understand why Matt would like this movie or pick it. You know,
yeah,
the body count is quite high, and you see a lot of the bodies.
I think my favorite kill was the.
We should do this for every movie now.
Our favorite kill was the crazy wife.
Oh my gosh!
She was getting revenge. She was getting revenge because, you know, the family had destroyed her family, and she's the manipulator in the story. She marries the older brother, convinces him to kind of go to war. She's like the Satan on the shoulder, you know, manipulating and whispering and threatening their manhood and all this kind of stuff. And she changes brothers, you know, and goes to the second brother and does the same thing. And then, but the guy's general, you know, he knows exactly who she is. He tells him flat out, I can't believe you're letting, like the scene where she asks for the other wife's head, packed in salt.
That's my favorite scene.
And he brings it to her, and he opens it, and it's the head of a statue of a fox. And then he tells the story of the fox and how evil the fox is. You know,
did you notice that she later was wearing a fox like outfit? It was the exact same color scheme as that fox.
I didn't notice that, but that is
cool.
Cool.
So later on, when like I think Hero is like completely just like on her side, and she seems like almost a king. She's wearing the color scheme of that fox.
Gotcha. Yeah, because she was. But it made sense. You know, she's trying to get revenge for her family. Like she says when she was first with him, you know, I grew up in this castle. And she looks over and she's like, my mom committed suicide over there. It's like, damn.
Yeah.
But when she gets killed, the guy just pulls out the sword. There's like no notice, just shunk, whoop, and then you see a spray of blood all over. And the blood in this movie is so vibrant, like super red, almost neon.
It's amazing. It's like Akira just took like a paint can and like just chucked it out. Like
blood, now in Technicolor.
Yeah, but all of the blood, like just a guy getting stabbed, or you see a guy on the ground and he's bleeding. It's very bright, vibrant colors.
I love that they got one blood spray in, because I was saying, okay, this is a samurai movie. Those are kind of what they're known for. And, of course, that's probably the best kill, but the most shocked. Actually, it was probably the most shocked I was. But, yeah, that happened. I was like, oh! And it's just the blood going everywhere. I'm like, yeah!
Yeah, that was my favorite. What about you, Ian? What's your favorite kill?
Well, my favorite kill is the non-kill when the guy brings in the head, and it's the fox head. Just because I like that they paired it back with the trickster spirit kitsune fox thing, and they're like, "This is who you are, I know." And she's like, "I don't believe this is so dumb, so made up. You didn't." And he's like, "Let me tell you who you are, lady."
And you're like, oh, thank God, a change of pace. No one's getting killed in this scene.
No, we'll wait till the next one.
Oh, yes. So when this movie, because this movie, takes its time to really start. The first hour is a lot of build-up. After the opening 30-minute scene, we go to the first castle, and he's, kicked out of the first castle, and then he goes to the second castle and kicked out of that castle, and then he's just kind of out there. And then when he finally goes back and that huge battle happens, after that it's just people dying left and right. I was thinking at the end of this movie, like, all right, who did live? Because I couldn't think of really anyone who lived, at least with a name.
Tango and the jester.
Did Hero live? How did he? If he didn't, how did he die? I think he was preparing to die in battle.
I don't think they showed him die.
Okay, but you just assume that he's probably going to die.
I think so.
But there's a lot of stuff at the end that was kind of left open. You're just assuming that they had died.
Yeah.
Just like the person on the ledge, the last shot. They're just standing there. You don't know what happened to them.
Oh, that is actually one of my other favorite kills. So this is probably number 3, the beheading. The actual beheading of the woman, when they actually deliver the head, and it cuts to the head missing, and there's just plants right there. I was just like, God.
Yeah, and they showed the dress kind of draped over where the head was supposed
that was
to be.
amazing.
She shouldn't have gone back. Everybody told her, don't go back. She's like, I'll go back and get the flute. It's no problem. Nope.
Yeah, you should have known if you're in this movie, you shouldn't do anything except run away.
One of the things I like about Kurosawa is his attention to side characters or other characters. I think in a lot of movies, the jester character would have been kind of a side throwaway character. But in this, he gives him a lot of characterization. He's got his own story about having taken care of this king since he was a boy. He doesn't want to leave him. He almost leaves him at one point and then just can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
But you think, oh, he's just the jester. He's just the entertainer. But he gives him an emotional storyline. I think a lot of movies would have just dismissed that character as someone that was there for a couple of jokes, and that would be it.
I mean, it is amazing how, big the roster is of characters in this movie. I mean, there's, probably 10 characters with good backstories and good... I mean... You have the father and his 3 sons, and then you have the jester. Then you have even the right-hand man of Hero. He has somewhat, because he's thinking that Hero's crazy for going to war, and then he has that line where he's like, "I'll follow you to death, or death will follow." something along the lines of like, let's go.
I'll follow you to die, but I'm not going to follow her.
Yeah. But yeah, I
will say that the Jester, just to go back to that real quick, like everything that character says ends up being important, which I think is kind of what we alluded to. But it's like he doesn't have any throwaway lines at all, because like everything that it's basically like prophecy that he says.
Yeah, a lot of things that he says ends up either coming true or is true.
He's a genius. He's
a funny genius. But Kurosawa also did that with The Hidden Fortress. You know, where I don't know if you guys have seen that one.
No,
not yet.
Okay, so in The Hidden Fortress, the story follows these two beggars that are, deciding to help out their leader that they are involved with, that they follow. But that was the big inspiration for George Lucas when he did Star Wars. That's why Star Wars follows C-3PO and R2-D2. And why they're kind of a comedic element, because in The Hidden Fortress, the two beggars, everything is seen from their point of view. So you have this like huge epic story that's going on, and it's basically these two beggars that become soldiers that aren't very good at it, and they kind of got a comedic feel to each other. But all of this epicness is going on from their point of view. And that's why Lucas did... why he filmed Star Wars the way he did. None of the story is taken from that, but the whole point of view of side characters that have a humorous overtone.
Well, I will say, George Lucas picked a good director to be inspired by, because he definitely knows what he's doing in terms of his vision and what he wants people to see on camera. There's just no wasted effort on anything.
Well, Lucas and Spielberg both were huge fans of Kurosawa, and actually were one of the... I think both of them were like highly influential in getting him an achievement. I think we got an Academy Award.
Like
lifetime achievement thing.
Died,
and in the 1990s, I think it was.
Yep. Yeah, it was like 98.
But I think it was because of Spielberg and Lucas had, fought for it. Because they were huge fans. I mean, obviously, Lucas made Star Wars based off of, at least those characters based off of Hidden Fortress. But Spielberg, I think, was highly, loved Ran. I bet some of those sequences were used for Saving Private Ryan. I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised either, because...
I haven't heard anything specifically, but I would not be surprised at all.
I wouldn't be surprised in some ways if, like, Peter Jackson looked at this for Lord of the Rings, because I know it's different, but, like, the scale of these, sequences is pretty amazing.
Well, the wide shots of the battle scenes, like...
Yeah.
Especially during a time where you can't have 10,000 extras made of CGI, and they had 200 horses and over 1,000 men, all dressed up and running forward into battle. That's a huge feat, and you could feel it on film. Like, you could feel the weight of all of these horses running, and the sound and the way that the camera was so close. Like, you could feel all the power of all that.
Speaking of the horses and the people running, let's talk about the final battle. Partly because I want to talk about the horse trampling man count. Holy cow, so many horses are trampling over people. It is insane. It's like every second someone's getting shot, horse running over them, horse running over them. There is a guy who gets shot in the middle of a group, and he gets like trampled over or jumped over by like 5 or 6 horses. I'm like, I hope this guy did not die in real life, because that looks terrible.
Well, you had that guy earlier on in the movie when I think they were leaving the castle. He got killed, and he's like right in the middle of frame, and you see the horses going right over him.
Yep.
So the actor, that stuntman, had to pretend to be dead as the horses are going over him.
Yep.
And they're even, they're kicking him a little bit. Like you could see one kick his foot over,
Yep.
one like hitting him as it's
And
jumping
he doesn't react.
Doesn't react. I was like, wow. I hope you got that in one take because I don't think you would want to do that again.
We're going to have to do that again. Can you please not move this time? I'm pretty sure what just happened is he just got knocked out. And I was like, oh, okay, now we can do it.
I don't know. His eyes were open.
Man, that guy's a champ.
I know. I want to know who it is and hire him on the next movie.
Yeah, or just give him a salute or something because that guy is probably, he might not have done any other stunts because he might not have made it through this movie. But,
work on this
he
movie
gave it all.
Impressive. Yeah. I can only give you one take.
Oh, gosh.
But it will be my best.
I don't know if that was planned. I would assume it was because he was in the middle of frame. They held on the whole time. I can't imagine that it would be a mistake.
I think if it was a mistake, he would have reacted or something.
I don't know. Maybe he's just so into his craft. He's like, "Don't move. They might use this cut." Yeah, I don't know.
I am.
My
dead.
agent really wants me to be in this movie.
But how do you sell that to the stuntman? Like, all right, we want you to fall here, and then we're going to have about 20 horses run over you. How about no?
All right, let me get some coffee in me, and let's do this.
I don't know.
On 3? Are we going on 3? I just want to make sure. Okay. My gosh, wouldn't that be terrible?
It looked like a planned shot. So I would want to know how they planned it. Because it couldn't just be, all right, lay here and hopefully you don't get hit by the horses. Or do they train the horses to not trample?
Well, I mean, maybe? I don't know because it looks so close.
Yeah, and there's no CGI. This is 1985. Basically, what you see in frame is in frame.
And it's a Akira Kurosawa or just like an Eastern film. So even if it was 2005 or something, they're still going to do it for real because...
Yeah, Jackie Chan did that.
Yeah, that's just how they are, and I love it.
Jackie Chan said during Rush Hour, he's like, it takes so long for you to film something because you have to be in safety harnesses and you have to have all this preparation and a lot of safety. He's like, in Hong Kong, I just draw a line, I jump, we measure it, and then we tell the helicopter guy, okay, be this far away from the building, and then I jump. Like, that's it. So you can tell that they probably, they did a lot of stuff in this movie that you can't do today. They wouldn't allow it just for safety reasons.
I'm sure
I wonder about those horses. Yeah.
Like,
go on.
Several people probably were injured on this film.
Oh, yeah.
Just from getting trampled. Because there's so much of it happening that, yeah, it's mind-boggling. But
I would be surprised if no one had died. I mean, if you watch Chariots of Fire... No, not Chariots of Fire.
Well,
I'm thinking of the wrong movie. But the chariot race... The famous chariot race with
Ben-Hur.
Ben-Hur, thank you. Chariots of Fire is the racing movie. Anyway, so the chariot race in Ben-Hur, the one with Charlton Heston.
The good one.
The good one. I think there was like 3 people that died filming that sequence. And you can tell that someone had to have died. I mean, the shots that they got for that sequence are insane. Like, you can't get that today. But there's a lot of shots like that in Ron where I'm like, someone had to have been injured in this sequence, if not died. Especially in the big battle stuff.
Oh my god. But like, I want to find out because so on the Blu-ray, there's actually commentary. There's historical commentary and there's just a commentary and there's behind the scenes of making the film. And it's stuff like that where I really want to find out, how they do this, or are we overanalyzing? And Akira Kurosawa was just like, okay, just lay down there. Okay, cool. All right, action. And like they just went. because I mean that's the mentality over there. I mean they do stuff for real and they take pride in it, and I commend them for it clearly, because there's certain things I obviously love doing because Ian knows I do it, and there's certain things
running
like
into trees.
Yeah, you know, bashing myself, falling on concrete, taking actual baseball bat hits,
Just throw me down onto the concrete. I'll be fine.
Like stuff like that, I'm totally fine with. I love it because there's just something about the realism that I enjoy. It's nothing about the art of that, but there's certain stuff like having a horse in which I have no control over going over me that I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally comfortable. Maybe he did cocaine before it. I
don't know. He was very dedicated to his craft. I could say that. Because the whole time I'm thinking, I'm seeing the horses come. He's on the ground, and I'm like waiting to see him react. I'm like, maybe is he gonna like jump up screaming and run away, or? And I was just shocked that he just laid there with his eyes open the whole time, and you just see his like leg move because a horse kicked it. I was like, dang. Okay.
I hate when that stuff happens because for the most part, I was into the movie, I was into the zone, and I reacted. I feel like the way Akira would want the audience to react at certain points, and I'll get to that moment later. But that was a moment where I definitely broke being an audience member and went, wait a second, this dude probably is dead.
I think that is a scene that anybody that is a fan of like filmmaking is going to look at and go, who is this guy? Like, he didn't even blink. His eyes were open, staring near the camera. These horses are going over him. The kick is in his feet, dirt getting thrown around, and he doesn't even blink. This guy is amazing.
This guy is magical. We've had hard times talking for an hour about Ready Player One, but we talked 15 minutes about a dude who just got
kicked by a horse.
He needs to win an award for best stuntman to be able to pull that off.
Like, he needs at least win a Lifetime Achievement Award. I want to see if this guy's still alive, or maybe had like nose reconstruction from getting hit or something.
I want to know what other movies he did, because I'd like to see if he did anything else just as crazy.
All right, this time an alligator's going to walk over you and action.
All right, sounds good. I want a montage clip of like every crazy thing that guy has done on film. Because I bet if he's fine with that he's done a lot of stuff.
I mean, he's probably had a car go over him, or like, and he's just in between, like on the interstate, and he's just like.
He's probably like the random dead body in every movie.
Oh my god, yeah, because that was the best dead body I've ever seen on film, and it's not even close.
Okay, so we can stop talking about that guy. We gushed on him about enough, but...
Woo!
So, what did you guys, think? Even though the story is based on King Lear, very Shakespearean, it's a tragedy, what did you think about some of the character motivations? Did you, did you think the two older brothers were manipulated? I thought they might have been manipulated a little too easily by the
power of sex.
The power of the girl. I didn't even think that she had that much to give that would be able to... I don't know.
Were her eyebrows shaved?
No, they were... Yeah, they were shaved, but then they were painted up here. It was a beauty thing back then.
Yeah. I just interesting. I mean, I was just wondering.
Same reason why you would have those... the foot wrapping, where they would curl their feet up and to make them the smallest as possible. Same kind of thing, except for here the eyebrows were painted up here for some reason.
So for me, it was an interesting twist at first, because at the very beginning of the movie, the two oldest brothers are supposedly the good ones, and the youngest being banished, you think, okay, he's going to try to, like, you know, he's going to build this army, and he's going to take out the father and the two sons. And nope, doesn't happen. And I really like that. That was a really good. That was a good twist.
I was thinking about that too when he got banished. I'm like, oh, is this going to be the story of him coming back and reclaiming the land for himself or something?
And it's like, nope. And then you're like, well, maybe the first brother, you know, attacks the second brother, and then the third cut. No, he's just like, well, maybe no. Nope. All right, I don't know what's going.
We'll just go along for the ride.
Yeah. No, but I really like the beginning. I mean, I agree. I think the first two brothers, especially the second one. The second one didn't even try. He's wearing the armor, and then he's just like, yeah, I can have sex with you, I guess. Let's just do it right here. Yeah, he didn't try. But
I mean, there was at least two times in the movie where like someone goes up there, and that's clearly what they were doing. You know, and they're like, "Wait, hold on a second. And you're, oh, we're ready to see you now." And it's like,
I mean, maybe it is more of she's that manipulative and that determined than they are stupid.
I mean, she tries to kill Hero like as soon as she like meets him.
Yeah, and could have done that.
Yeah, I mean, she is the ultimate manipulator. But it did seem like the guys kind of caved into her very easily. Like she had something that we didn't know about. Like it drugged them up or, you know, was the most amazing in bed. I don't know what it is, but
well, I mean,
she had them wrapped around her finger like really easy.
I mean, it seemed like that because the second brother's like, you know what? I could kill my wife. Because this sex amazing. Like, it's like there's no way. I mean, yeah, like you said, there had to be something, or maybe she always told that story of her, you know, her family being murdered in that castle, and this is her. Maybe the sons felt sympathy for her and felt some sort of connection that they did not like what their father's doing. Because the entire movie is kind of. It's obviously there's more to it, but I felt a lot of similarities to like Unforgiven. I haven't seen the movie, but I know the premise of like, you know, him obviously seeking forgiveness for everything he's done in the past, and that's kind of what's happening in this movie. Is, you know, there's a lot of times where, you know, the past comes back to haunt him, and all the wrongs he's, you know, done is kind of the end of him and the end of his family, you know, banishing his brother or son. If he did not do that, he would have realized earlier that his two brothers were more corrupt and more willing to take his, you know, land. And he could have probably, you know, nipped it in the butt a lot earlier. But because that happened, and because the things he did earlier on, before this movie, you know, caused everything to, you know, for the destruction of, you know, that family. And so, yeah, maybe they saw something in it that, hey, you know, this, you know, our father was never really a father. He was a tyrant, and she, you know, is the product of that king. Mm-hmm. I feel terrible for her. Let's bring her in. And
so a lot of sympathy that got manipulated and turned into like lust.
Yeah, because she told the story, you know, at least once, but she brings it up all the time. You know, she wants people to, you know, to be reminded, hey, my family owned this castle and was murdered, you know, here. Don't forget who I am.
Yeah.
I mean, my take is, like, I think definitely, you know, we joked about the eyebrow thing a little bit, but I think part of that was that she's supposed to be like super beautiful, but she's also like described as being really smart, because when earlier on when Hero's meeting with his advisors before Taro has died, his advisors are like, she would make a really good match for you. like someone to match your intelligence and skill with, whereas Taro's seen as kind of like this weak leader. And so that, you know, if she was with him, they could get more done and take over more stuff. But I think, kind of going off what Matt said, that I really thought it was interesting how, you know, the opening scene is really jarring because, like, if it was, I think, because you don't have enough information to know that the brothers are plotting against their father. But, so you get the idea when Saburo's, like, you know, denying whatever his father says, you feel like he's bad. But then the dad's, like, talking to the other lords that are there, and he's like, remember how you had these castles, and then I killed all your people, and then I murdered all these other people, and we took over this whole valley, and now we're best friends. And you're just like, okay, so there's something going on here.
Yeah.
And then, like, throughout the movie, you know, we talked about, like, the remorse aspect, but I don't get the impression that the Great Lord really feels a lot of remorse. I think he there's a couple times, like when he stumbles into the cabin where the blind guy lives, where he kind of feels a little bit of guilt, but then immediately, anytime he should feel guilt, he goes back to, I should have murdered you, like I murdered your whole family. When he goes to the castle that's broken, he's like, he doesn't remember why he's there, and then he's like, oh yeah, I killed everybody, and that was a great thing that I did. And even when he meets with, like, the wives of his sons, he's like, oh yeah, I killed your families, that was a great day for me. And so you're like, no, you're pretty messed up.
Yeah, he was pretty crazy. He had, like, I wouldn't say Alzheimer's, but you could tell that he was mentally just not there anymore. He lost it.
He was slipping.
Yeah, he's slipping a lot.
Just a bit. I mean, when he exits that castle after that battle, it's like, well, guess he's gone. Just kind of like,
I was wondering if they're going to do it, like, if they thought he was a ghost, but then, because I think Hero was, like, hoping that it was, like, going to be a ghost scenario, and then his general was like, oh, that's your dad, and he's alive. What are you going to do about it?
Now,
go on.
The actor, looking up his name, Tatsuya Nakade, I think it is. He played the king, the Great Lord, I guess.
How old was he when he was, you know, doing that? He looked probably like in his 40s. He did not look, you know, 70.
He was born in 1932.
So he would have been 50-something. 52.
But he is probably one of the greatest blank starer I've ever seen. They have entire scenes of people talking and moving around and yelling at him and doing all this stuff, and he's just sitting there like...
Oh, he's a master at looking like everything is gone in here.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish, the only thing, I mean, this is a small thing, I wish we got to see a moment of him being, you know, this great, like the Great Lord that, you know, they talk about, oh, you used to be this, just for that even bigger transition from, you know, what you see him to that. I think that just would have been an interesting acting thing, or an acting point for the character.
But I wouldn't want backflashes, so I'm kind of glad
no,
they didn't do that.
Yeah, not backflashes, like, or flashbacks, backflashes, but not flashbacks, but something, you know, trying to do something like that. I mean, maybe, you know, he's still older, but he's not, you know, falling asleep and, you know, stuff like that. Maybe, you know, he still has it to some extent, but I mean, he does have a big fall anyway. Don't get me wrong. I mean, the guy goes from, you know, being a father who kind of wants to live the remainder of his years watching over his sons, and passing on his legacy and dying, to I've lost everything, and now I'm seeking the forgiveness of my son, which just got murdered, which was the biggest shock, because I totally forgot that because the battle is over, and you have once again one of those long wide shots. I'm just like, oh, okay, like they're gonna have some father son.
I knew it was coming, but I was like, nope, he's gonna die. They sent those guys after him. I know it's coming, and then it's just like at the worst possible moment.
Yeah,
bam.
When the father is smiling, I knew someone was gonna die. But
he will not. Yeah.
When he, even though I knew it was coming, as soon as I heard the gunshot, I was like, no. Like, I didn't want it to happen, but I knew it was going to. And the actor that played him did a great job, because he didn't just, like, he didn't overreact and, oh, I just got shot. Like, it was like, oh, he's still riding, but then you kind of see him go a little limp, and then his arm, like, falls to the side. It's like, wow, that was really subtle, but very good.
It's amazing, because at first I thought, okay, maybe, oh no, he's dead. I mean, it was a great way to actually show he was dead instead of just like jerking around, because then you think, well, maybe he's still alive, but yeah, he just collapses.
Yeah, it leaves us with a little bit of hope, and then they rip it right out of us.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it seemed like the last act of that movie was just, here's nope, here's nope.
Well, I mean, it is a tragedy, so you gotta kind of expect it, but yeah, and then when he died, I knew the father was gonna. I mean, that's all that was really holding him there, was the thought of his son.
Mm-hmm.
So when his son left, there really wasn't anything left up there. Like, there was very little up there to begin with throughout the whole movie, but once that was gone, it's all gone.
Yeah, we haven't brought this up, but there's not many epics where the main character, because I would call this like an epic or like a big movie, because it is a big movie. It's, the most famous director from Japan. It seems like it has a pretty big budget, where the main character is a 70-year-old. Like, most films usually, the main character is 18 to 50, and if it's, if the character is older, it's, oh, you don't have it anymore, and you're trying to get it back, blah, blah, blah. And they did not play that story up. They were just, oh, he's kind of insane for giving up his, property. And we show a complete different story of the character. And I love it. I wish we'd see more characters of that age bracket to see what they go through outside of they're older.
Right. Well, the King Lear was like that. It's structured around an old king that gave his stuff away before he died. But what was I going to say? Ian, what did you think?
I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it. There was something happening outside, so.
What did you think of the, the king being the center of attention for the film?
And that, like, it was like a 70-year-old in like a big event, like a bigger movie.
Gotcha. I mean, I thought it was an interesting choice. I do agree with what you were saying earlier, Matt, about it would have been nice to have seen. I don't know if I wanted like a flashback, but something to where, because at one point they talk about going to attack the father like before the big battle, and they say that like each of his soldiers is worth like 1,000 guys, and then like they get cut down really quick. So I was like, maybe not. So it would have been nice to have seen like some of that action happening, but it being a tragedy, it was
you just got
also
mown
acceptable.
Down,
yeah.
Have arms and horses kick you.
Yeah.
With your eyes open.
Yeah.
Or just keep on shooting at the wall, the same spot over and over and over and over.
I mean, they really wanted to tear down that castle.
I mean, you'd think you'd want to save it, but I guess not.
one of my favorite moments in that entire sequence is when the king's coming down, or the Great Lord's coming down, and all the men are walking with him. I know you haven't, I don't think you've seen this movie, Ian, but I was like, that's where Jet Li got that from here. And Hero, that exact same thing happens. And they have a beautiful color scheme in that movie, just like, Ron. And I was like, maybe he...
They was influenced. They had to have been influenced by Ron. Yeah, Hero, but they used color differently. They used it for
telling different stories.
Yeah, telling different stories, but each story had its own very vibrant color scheme, like green.
Which
and blue
someday we'll have to do, because that movie's also beautiful.
It is. I love that movie. Especially the scene with Donnie Yen.
Oh my gosh, it's a dream match.
I loved it. But
have I seen that one, Matt? That clip?
No, you have. I mean, you've seen that fight. It's the fight where they battle in their mind.
In the rain.
Yeah.
Beautifully shot. Just gorgeous cinematography.
Beautiful choreography.
Yeah.
Fight's so good.
Well, when I first heard that they were going to be on screen together, I got excited. So I had to see that movie. I saw it in the theater.
I did not.
Yeah. You were like, what, 4?
No, I was like 10.
5?
No, I was not 5 in 2002.
But I saw it in the theaters, and it was incredible in a big... I hope they bring that back to the big screen. This would be amazing on the big screen. Yes.
All the wide shots, IMAX, just make it as big as possible.
Well, I bet it was filmed for a 70 millimeter. Like it.
Oh, yeah.
It would look amazing on a big screen, even at its age. You know, it's one of those movies that no matter how old it gets, just filming on that scale is always going to look good.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this before with Aliens. That the thing about
it was shot on 70 millimeter.
It was.
Yeah,
but
it looks like it. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing, the thing that we've talked about before, we talked about this with Aliens, and we talked about this with a little bit with others. Practical effects don't really age unless they're bad practical effects. And this movie, it has a weird look. It does not feel like it's from the 80s. It feels like it's from the 60s, but not in a bad way. It's just so bizarre. I think
even partly, the muzzle flashes are really red. Nowadays everything's white and yellow.
The grass is so green. It almost feels like it's not real to some extent. It feels like you're in a fantasy world the entire time.
Now, some of the sound feels like the 60s, and that could be what you're drawing from. Some of the sound design of the gunshots, some of the ambient noise, but a lot of those really high, sharp peaks of audio reminded me a lot of the 60s.
Yeah, I think, and like I said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just weird because everything looks really well done. It's pretty much perfect in terms of its visuals. And yeah, I feel like this was made in '65 for some reason instead of '85.
Well, I did read that it says online that before they shot the movie, Kurosawa spent 10 years storyboarding the shots as paintings. So he painted the storyboards for each.
Wow.
thing. So
I would love to see those paintings. I want to see those paintings.
I think they show one on the Wikipedia page for it.
Doesn't hearing this stuff, doesn't that make you feel crappy about being a filmmaker? It's you're not even
You're not even trying.
Yeah.
Don't compare yourself to
Get honest, though.
Yeah, don't ever compare yourself to the ones that go above and beyond, because you will never you'll never be again.
And there's also different ways to go above and beyond. I don't think Jackie Chan paints his storyboards, but he goes above and beyond with fight scenes. There's different ways to do that. Akira Kurosawa is a visual director. I would love to see So I was gonna wait until later, but the entire time I had like a little tear in my eye because it's like, man, Akira Kurosawa needed to direct Romance of the Three Kingdoms. Like that book directed by him would have been so amazing. Like if you had like a choreographer like Yuen Wu Ping doing all the fight scenes, I don't know if I would be alive watching it. I'd probably just have a heart attack while watching because it would have been so amazing. Like the visuals, and like even this movie kind of feels like Romance of the Three Kingdoms. You have three armies that are split up, and at the end, like they crumble, and one rises from it all. It's right there, and like the book was been out for 400 years.
Yeah, actually, my dad would be really happy to hear that because he's a huge fan of that book.
Oh, it's amazing.
He loves it. He even loves all of the movies, and he's played a couple of video games that were based off of that.
Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, he played Dynasty Warriors.
Yep.
Another one I can't remember. I think there was a game that was actually called.
It's just called Romance of the Three Kingdoms.
Yeah. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. That would be awesome to see in a movie, but I would want it done right, and with the people we've got right now, I don't think it could be.
No. The only person who I could see right now is the director who did Chocolate in 2008. It's about it. But it's one of those projects like Ron. You take 10 years to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's so big, there's so much going on, and it's such a rich history that you have to execute it. And I think that's something after watching this movie that I want to focus on a lot more with my own film work is make every shot count. Don't just rush through stuff. I wish I lived in a time where I could have went to film first and then digital instead of digital and try to get into film because you have unlimited, you can just kind of film and go. But this, you can tell that he planned out every second.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't like the movie, that's fine. But it's a 10 out of 10 for the director in terms of how he mastered everything and how he wanted it, how he executed. It's just brilliant. And I want to try as hard as possible to do that. Maybe not paint my stuff because I suck at painting, but
yeah, but planning it instead of just winging it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the best movies we have, they planned very detailed planning, but then they didn't always follow it when they were shooting. You know, having a plan is one thing, but taking advantage of a situation is another. Just like in Jaws, the shark didn't work, so they had to kind of last minute kind of shoot around that, which made the movie that much more suspenseful. If the shark worked, the movie would not have been that good.
Yeah. Became a master.
So there's a thing about planning. You need to plan so that you know exactly what it is you're looking for.
I mean, the best directors are the ones who can adapt.
Exactly. You got to be able to adapt. So.
And probably after he killed that stunt guy with the horse, we lost our best one.
Yeah, after the stuntman snuff film that is known as Ron.
He was going to be the first one shot in the final battle, and all the horses were going to gallop over him.
We killed him too early.
And that one guy would go, retreat, and then I'll go back over him again.
Mm-hmm.
Now go ahead. No, come back.
Holy cow. Hero's plan sucked at the final battle. Gosh.
Yeah. He was a little crazy. He did not know what he was doing.
Like, he lost so many people and so many horses. It's like, I thought the cavalry ain't supposed to go in first. You send in the crappy people.
But I think he was, blinded. He wasn't thinking strategically. He was kind of almost on a whim of his wife. You know, he wasn't there for his own reasons. And so he kind of rushed into it, didn't know what he was going to do, and then just didn't think on his feet, and ended up it all kind of collapsing on him.
Well, he did have a good plan of shooting, causing the fields to fire on fire, but he never executed it by doing it. He said it.
He didn't really have time though, because they had started retreating before they could set the fires. Then they found out that the one group on the hill was all fake. You know, it was they were actually at the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So things were just falling apart for him awfully fast in those last scenes.
Yeah. Poor hero, I guess.
Not really. I have no sympathy for him, but
yeah, if you liked him, I guess. Sorry, but
I mean, probably my only complaint about really the story is I wish the youngest son we got to see more until the end.
Yeah.
He kind of just disappears. I mean, he literally just disappears because there's this weird scene that happens with the father-in-law who has a practical joke or shoots something and he laughs and it just cuts to the main story. It's like, wait, what happened? This 30-second scene just feels very out of place and feels like they're like, oh yeah, by the way, they still exist, these characters, but they are gone for 2 hours of this movie. It feels like, or at least an hour and 40 minutes.
Well, it could be that they're trying to stay close to following the father. So a lot of the story is following his decline mentally. But I agree. I would have liked some more with the youngest son, just to kind of, even though he had a lot of weight to his death, I didn't want him to die because I liked him. But it would have had even more weight if you had a progression of his character as well, instead of just banished, he got married in the other kingdom, and then at the end of the movie he shows up. But there wasn't anything in the middle.
But I will say
that the short scene made me wonder if his father-in-law was going to end up betraying him too. That was the one thing that I kept wondering was okay, these other two guys are here that the Great Lord insulted at the very beginning and admitted to killing all their people. Now his two remaining sons are about ready to fight together. What if they're just waiting until they've torn each other apart just to finish it off and get everything back that they lost?
Yeah.
So I was kind of
I could see that.
I don't know.
I could totally see that.
I will say, even though I don't like that we didn't get to see that much of the younger son, once again, going back to Akira Kurosawa's brilliance with having even smaller side characters with backstory, you still feel a lot for that character dying, even though you only see him for 35 minutes, and that that is insane.
Yeah,
most movies that I see a character for 30 minutes and then they die, I'm like, oh, cool. But I reacted because I was like, no, the father just saw him.
Yeah.
And, maybe
and
that's what Kurosawa.
In the beginning, I'm saying that in the beginning, the youngest son had the most to do. He was the most outgoing of all of the characters. A lot of the emotion was centered on his kind of betrayal, I guess, where a lot of this movie is pretty much showing that because someone tells you the truth or tells you their real opinion doesn't mean that they are bad. It seems like in this movie a lot of people are telling the truth or giving their real opinion out of concern, and then they're seen as the villain until it turns out that no, they were right and you should have listened to them. The same thing happened with the general talking about the fox. They didn't listen to him.
And don't go into the battle.
Yeah, don't go into the battle. Or, with him and the father, this is not a good idea. Don't do this. And then the father is translating that as, you're greedy. I banish you. He's like, all right, see ya. I know my brothers are going to kill each other over all this. And because it's the same kind of thing. Whenever you have whenever you have a person that goes and conquers, it's just a matter of time until people start fighting over the property once they die, because there's no loyalty to that person. Same thing happened with Genghis Khan. It happened with Rome, with Caesar. You know, it happened with Alexander the Great. Whenever Germany, whenever they die, the main person dies, then all of the generals and the smaller or the kids, whoever, they fight over the territories. So he was probably thinking, you know, he's like, this is what's going to happen. You know, Father didn't like to hear it, but he was right. That's what was going to happen.
Yep.
But for me, it was with that younger brother, his death. I liked his character. They set him up really well, but I did wish they had something more with him. But the acting from the actor in his death, you know, because it wasn't flamboyant, it wasn't over the top, you still had that little glimmer of hope that he was still alive. But then when you see his head kind of go back and the arm slump, that arm slump like killed me. I was like, no! But he did such a good job of that, drawing it out without being melodramatic. Mm-hmm. And it was probably one of the few scenes in the movie that wasn't melodramatic.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of any other scenes that weren't melodramatic, but that's really the only one I can think of.
It definitely wasn't the main villain, the girl, when she's sliding the doors and laughing. I was like, what is happening right now? She's going crazy. Everyone's going crazy.
She's going Dr. Evil.
Oh,
I mean, even like when they play the flute, it's like, it's pretty over the top there. He's like, no, not the flute.
But his death was subtle compared to everything else.
Yeah.
And I thought it was beautifully done. All right, so do you have anything else to add before we do our ratings?
I guess we can give our final words when we rate it.
Yeah, that sounds good. All right, so I think this was beautifully shot, wonderfully edited. I love the wide shots. I love the outdoor shots. I love the single shots. The way it was filmed, brilliant. I absolutely love it. I think the melodramatic element of it matches the whole Shakespearean King Lear thing, but it does get annoying a bit sometimes for me. But I understand why it's there, so I don't fault it too much for that. I do agree that the younger brother should have had more characterization, because he was one of the more interesting characters in my mind. Overall, I'm going to give it an A-. I still think that there were some parts in the middle that dragged, that at that time could have been used on the younger brother or something else. But other than that, I loved it. Again, but it's been like 15 years since I saw it.
Ian?
So for me, I kind of have two scores for it. I would say that like the artistry, you know, that we've talked about visually with the color, with the costumes, the locations, just the way it was shot and planned out, like everything is so meticulous and detailed. To me, that was like 10 out of 10 for that. On the flip side of that, like, and I think this is also a testament to the movie, it was really like emotionally like devastating, because like there was nobody really to root for in this movie. And I think part of that was because, you know, when we saw Rashomon in film school, like that had been like, if that had been the only other Kurosawa movie I had seen, it probably wouldn't have been like such a big like emotionally jarring. But I watched Seven Samurai in between, and that's such like a good-hearted like character movie. And so then coming to this one, even though I could tell when bad things were going to happen, you were just like the movie's over, and I was just like, dang, you know, like that's kind of, it's pretty heavy. So, I mean, if I was like ranking my emotional reaction, it'd be like 6. But I guess that also speaks to like, you know, how well made this movie was.
Okay.
So that's my thoughts on it.
All right, Matt.
So for me, I do agree with you.
Wait. Before you start, is one of your highlights going to be the guy holding his hand?
Well,
is that going to bump it up like 2 points more than it normally would get?
We'll find out.
Okay.
So,
and the horse trample guy?
The horse trample guy.
So, I do agree with you, Koricon. There are a couple parts that do feel a little bit slower that I think we should have focused on either the main villain or the main, like, the hero, so the younger brother. I think there should have been something else besides seeing that the king is getting even crazier and crazier. But that being said, is for how much this is a dialogue-focused movie outside of the visuals, there are payoffs, big payoffs. You know, things to excite the audience. Obviously, being the big battle, and of course, the guy with the arm, because that got me out of my chair. But also just the end. You know, the last 30 minutes are like really, really exciting, you know, for better or worse. And I really like that. I really appreciate that. You know, some parts do annoy me a little bit, like the Jester character. I just am not into that type of stuff. It gets, I mean, the entire time he was the only character I was thinking, this guy better get it. I was starting to think I was in a slasher movie. I'm like, Jason, where are you? Kill him.
Kill him.
He was just too much for me. But in terms of the other over-dramatic characters, I'm kind of used to that because they do that a lot more with their movies. Like, they always have those characters that are super over the top. You know, anime's a good example. How dramatic things they make, and that's just the style. And so I can't fault a movie for that. Is what, you know, people in Asia appreciate. And I also like different. I don't like everything to be the same, and of course this is something that is not the same as anything that I've ever seen. That being said, I give this movie an A+. This movie is amazing. I loved it. I could talk days about that guy who gets trampled by the horses.
Well, we did spend a good chunk of this talking about it.
Yeah, that guy gets a 10 out of 10 for the... I mean, Jackie Chan, you try to top that one.
No, probably don't do that, Matt. We want him to keep...
Oh, that is true. But overall, this movie is amazing. I think anyone who appreciates film somewhat should watch this movie because of how perfect directing job this is.
Now,
go on.
I was going to say it was made with $11 million, which back in '85 still wasn't that much for a big movie like this. And it was a joint production with France.
Yeah.
That's why you see, you know, in the titles, you know, it says like realized by, or it says realized par, you know.
Which is amazing because at first I was like, I hope my Blu-ray is not a French version because it's like, this is going to suck because it's, you know, everyone's speaking Japanese and then French subtitles. I'll be like, yep, don't know what they're saying.
No, it was a French production. It was a joint Japanese-French production, which I thought was interesting. But after seeing all of the melodrama, it makes perfect sense because France has a lot of that as well. Very over-the-top drama.
And wasn't this like one of the last movies that Akira Kurosawa did?
Yeah, I think he only had like one or two more.
Man, he ended with a bang.
Right. Yeah, we should watch Hidden Fortress at some point.
Yeah, I would love to watch that. I would love to watch Seven Samurai. I heard someone told me that Throne of Blood is really good because it's based off of Macbeth.
Yeah.
So it's Akira Kurosawa's adaptation of Macbeth, which excites me.
Yeah, I mean, if he did this with King Lear, I would love to see what he does with Macbeth. And I haven't seen that one. So
that's a definite dude.
Yeah, we may have to watch that one at some point.
Just go through all of Akira Kurosawa films. So what are we doing next week? We have not decided that because that we have a 1 week in between Avengers.
That is true. I saw Super Troopers 2 today. Do you want... No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, God. Thank God I go to movies free.
No. Well, let's just do the Hidden Fortress then.
All right, our Akira Kurosawa review continues.
Well, we don't have anything immediate that we need to do. We were just talking about it, so we might as well do that one, and then we got Avengers after that.
Oh my! I'm sorry, Avengers. I know you're going to be a completely different type of entertaining, but you're kind of screwed because there's no way the art direction even comes close to Ron.
No, but it's more of a how do you cram?
What if it was, Matt? Just what if that happened?
If for some odd reason the soul of Akira Kurosawa went into
the Soul Gem
Russo brothers,
yeah, and like I would be like, this might be the best movie ever made.
It's tracking to be the most money ever made.
Well, that's not including inflation.
Yeah, it's true.
Now, if it beats inflation, that's insane.
But we'll see. So let's watch Hidden Fortress next week. Let's watch the Hidden Fortress. Hidden Figures. Well, that popped in my head because it was one of my favorite movies last year, and it surprised the hell out of me because it came out in January. It came out like January 7th during dump month. And I was like, if this is a sign of what this year is going to give us, this is amazing because I love it.
2017 was an amazing year.
Did you see Hidden Figures?
I have not yet, but my mom and grandma did, and they loved it.
It's awesome. My favorite... See, I know this is... But whatever. So...
this is your show.
My favorite part, and it doesn't give anything away, but they have what I call the Nerd March. So you have all of the computer science ladies. They, it's during the whole movie takes place during a time period where all the black people have to be in a separate building and all of that stuff. But no one knows how to run these new computers properly, and they had all taught themselves how to do it. And so basically the NASA they have to give it up to them because no one else knows how to run it.
Oh,
and
wow.
They have this nerd march of this gaggle of there's like 20 or 30 black women walking from the building on the other side of the campus that they had to be at because they're black, and then walking across the campus to the main NASA building and into the IBM room where they basically kicked all the white guys out because they're the only ones that know how to... I was like, this is like this epic nerd march across campus. My favorite. I loved it. It was like, the nerds are marching in force. Whenever nerds win, I feel really happy, and I love... You gotta see that. You gotta see that movie.
It is a great movie.
I absolutely love that movie.
Isn't the actress, like the main actress, she's in Shape of Water, right? Olivia?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I really liked her in Shape of Water.
Yeah, she's a great actress. But she was one of my favorite characters in this, too. And it takes place... It's a period piece. You know, I love period pieces. And so it takes place during the...
Really?
50s.
We just did one.
I know. I love period pieces. But anyway, you should check out Hidden Figures. Next week, we'll review the Hidden Fortress. And I think
I kind of just want to keep going with Akira Kurosawa.
Oh my god!
Until we hit a bad one, and then we'll be like, maybe we should stop.
Well, I want to see this one because of the influence it had on Star Wars, and I would love because I think Lucas took a lot from a lot of places when he did Star Wars. You know, the battle scenes were taken directly frame for frame from World War II.
Movies.
Dogfights, thank you. Like, you could put some of the films that he was watching side by side, and they are shot for shot, timing of editing and everything with these dogfights. And how close the two characters in Hidden Fortress, how close are they to C-3PO and R2-D2? I would be really curious about that.
Here's a quick question about that. So I don't think he ripped anyone off, but do you think that like he was watching those movies, or they're so ingrained to his head that he just shot it that way and edited that way? Not like he watched the.
He actually gave.
I think it was intentional.
It was intentional. He gave those scenes to the special effects guys and said, "I want this in space."
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
so it was intentional, but he. You know, it's not like he was recreating a World War II film, so no one really cared. You know, he's not. He was doing a space battle. It just happened to look the same. But I'm more interested.
I think in a rough cut they left some of that footage in when they were doing like previews and stuff.
Yeah. But I would be really interested to see how much the Hidden Fortress influenced C-3PO and R2-D2. Because he had come out, Lucas had said it from the beginning. Like he never hid it. He never tried to say, "Oh, it's all my idea." He was very open about the fact, "Oh yeah, this was influenced by this and this was influenced by that."
I mean, and that's good because.
Yeah. But that's also what brought Kurosawa a lot of his stuff over to the U.S. because people were like, "Well, who is this guy that Lucas seemed to like so much?" And then Spielberg and everybody else. And this was in 1958. This movie,
yeah,
so it's black and white, I think.
If there is, if we're going to continue on the Star Wars homage or like the things that were inspired to make Star Wars run, I don't think you've seen this one, Koricon, but we should watch Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman that came out in 1967. I've seen the final battle between the Blind Swordsman and the guy, and it's amazing. It's insane. And I continue here. It's like one of the best samurai films of all time, and it's not Akira Kurosawa, and so it has a high bar.
Right.
But I'm like really excited to see it because that fight scene has a lot of similarities to Star Wars, especially Episode 5 with Luke Vader. You could tell that he based a lot of his stuff off of samurai fights.
Well, if we do that one, we should also do Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer.
Oh, gosh.
I loved that movie when I was a kid. It's a stupid movie. It's a fun, dumb action movie from the 80s. But Rutger Hauer is basically blind, and he's a swordsman, and he kicks everyone's butt. And so I loved it. But it is right up your alley on like cheesy action goodness. I think you would enjoy it. But it's something that we should review right after reviewing the most epic, best blind swordsman movie ever made. And then go watch Blind Fury.
Back to back blind.
Go from like the absolute best of filmmaking craft to direct to DVD film. Or actually direct to VHS back then, but yeah.
It's all the same thing.
Yeah. It was popular at Blockbuster.
Hey, I mean that's the thing is like those direct to VHS, direct to DVD movies, those sell well at like your rental stores.
They do. I love
yeah.
That's one of the things I miss about rental stores is when I was younger we would just go in and we would wander around for like an hour or two just looking at what came out. And then if we saw something, we would grab it. That's how I saw a lot of direct-to-DVD movies. Was I was like, that cover looks neat.
My biggest problem is, so 2005, so I was 12, 13, the Warriors video game came out by Rockstar. And I started playing it, and I loved that game. Probably shouldn't have played that, but I was playing that game and loved it. And I saw at Family Video that they had the Warriors on DVD or VHS, and I really wanted to get it, but I was like, I can't because my parents aren't with me. I'll get it next time. They did not have it, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I spent like 8 years trying to find the Warriors, and I finally got it to play it on DVD. I hyped that movie up too much the first time I watched because that ending was completely a complete disappointment. But now that I've gotten past that phase of, okay, I've waited 8 years for this moment. Don't disappoint. But now, like, it's one of my favorite movies. Like, I love that movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a long time.
It's so good.
I think the last time I saw it, I probably did rent it as a VHS at a store somewhere.
Well, we should definitely do that movie sometime. And obviously, we got a lot of movies to go.
Yeah. But next week, let's stay tuned for Hidden Fortress. If we'll talk about it afterwards. But comment below and let us know your thoughts on Ron. Have you seen it? Are you going to watch it now if you haven't? What did you like? What did you not like? Let us know. Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. We will see you on the next episode.